Hello, Psoriasis Healing Warriors around the world. Matt here doing another Healing Warrior Facebook Live. It's been a long time. Sorry about the hiatus away from doing these live videos. It's been a long time. Months have been flying by, of course. And let me get this down. And, it's been obviously pretty tumultuous for all of us the last few months and into this month and beyond. But anyways, it's been real good. My skin is doing very well. So a quick update on my skin progress. My arms are calming down a lot, which is great. My legs around the knee is calming down, where the knee is, if you know my story, that's the ACL reconstruction. The left knee is where I got an infection in there. And then around my, in my jaw and a root canal, where I eventually had pulled out, but I had an infection in there. And, so yeah, you'll know that about my story, and then still that area around the ear is tough. I think that body's really fighting something out of the jaw deep there and the knee. But anyways, the overall, my skin is improving, especially the arms are really doing good. I'm actually seeing real skin tone in the arms, not flaking up. You see that has a little bit of elasticity now. It's not just cracking and flaking and snowing everywhere. Same with this arm. It seems to be symmetric. Happening all over the body. So, there's been cycles. It gets worse. For a month, it got worse for my abdomen and tummy are on my liver. So I believe strongly that we're working with the liver. That's the most important organ we're working with to clear psoriasis off the skin and to keep ourselves strong and clear out any disease. I think the liver is the epicenter for holding and removing toxins, and it protects us from those toxins. So, my abdomen had been clearing up into the end of 2019, and then boom, in January, it started right here on the lower right rib cage, right where the liver sits. I think more was released, and then it gets red and angry around there and spreads out, and then the whole area starts to calm down, pinkish, and lighten and fade. Now, that process takes a little while, takes a little longer. Last year, it took about almost a full year of that, after the breakout clearing down. But this year, it's already starting to soften a lot. Like my skin and my abdomen and my upper chest is really feeling good. So progress, even in the face of a pandemic. But that's what I want to talk about today. One other update first before I talk about your psoriasis healing practice and protection from coronavirus, COVID-19 disease, pandemic, and any other pandemic as well. The same premise applies. One other update is I got my healing spreadsheet updated, and I have it trimmed down now and cleaned up to where it's printable to one page. So you can take a look at this link is where the spreadsheet is. Make sure I type that right into the chat here. And that spreadsheet, it's a Google spreadsheet, and column A of that spreadsheet is all of the priority healing foods that I eat a lot of in my diet to heal psoriasis specifically. So that's those foods are priority list of foods in column A of the spreadsheet. Column B of the spreadsheet are things that I try my best to avoid, that I've learned in my research and my own application are most important to avoid. You'll see things in there you might not have seen before as far as heavy metals or certain pesticides and herbicides, or I mentioned radiation, anything like that. Not just foods to avoid, but not just foods to avoid in column B, but also poisons to avoid. We have to understand that poisons in our environment are very antagonistic to the liver and to the healing process. I feel that certain poisons are part of the cause of psoriasis and eczema and other bad issues. So in order to help the body eliminate these toxins that are already causing these deep chronic issues, we've got to make sure we're avoiding putting more in the body. So old cleaners under your sink in your house, check for black mold. And of course, don't do checks for black mold. Make sure you're not breathing in that. Make sure you're not getting in your own way, so to speak, of your healing of psoriasis, because anything that the liver is taking on from the environment now, it's going to make it even harder for it to clear out old issues, deeper issues, which is what's causing, I feel, psoriasis and other bad, mysterious chronic conditions in our body. It's tied into the liver and cleansing and detoxification through the lymphatic system. And I'll have another video where I talk about that in depth. Anyways, back to the spreadsheet. I digress. Back to the spreadsheet. It is that link I put in the chat here, and it has in column C are the supplements that I use. I use them periodically. Supplements are I don't always consistently use all of these supplements at the same time all the time. I have a budget too. I can only afford so many things. There are core supplements that I take every day all the time that I always try to have a supply of. Number one is liquid zinc sulfate. So zinc, Z-I-N-C, zinc. I always put that in my water. Every time I fill my water, I put some zinc drops in. Number two is magnesium. I use capsules of magnesium every time I eat a meal. And sometimes I'll take them with just water. But usually I'll take magnesium with food, especially when you're starting with magnesium. Take it with food. But these two are great because they have the highest absorption, lowest laxative effect. Magnesium does have a little bit of a laxative effect. Sometimes that's good for you to have a laxative effect. This is magnesium chloride. Let's see if I can get that turned right. This on Amazon. 3-pack was like $30. That'll last a long time. I take like 2 capsules with a big meal. 1 capsule if I'm eating like a banana. This is magnesium glycinate. So the other one was chloride. This is magnesium glycinate. We just don't get a lot of magnesium in our foods these days. Magnesium is a salt from the sea. So if you're living in the ocean or living on the coast and you get sun and you get exposure and you get into the ocean, that's a fantastic way to absorb magnesium as well. So, but through foods, it's tough to get unless you're eating, of course, coastal foods. I do eat seaweed a lot and everything. I spread seaweed flakes on my guacamole and my salads. The Atlantic Dulce flakes is another great way to get magnesium and iodine and zinc and selenium. Very important elements from our diet that we have to bring in. And that's my approach to diet, is bringing in certain specific important foods that knock down pathogens and help us eliminate poisons, heavy metals, heavy poisons. And also eating a diet that's nutrient dense. So everything I eat, bringing in a lot of nutrients that the body can absorb. And of course, a lot of those nutrients come from plant foods. But I eat a balanced diet. I eat meats sometimes. I have bone broth in my smoothies. I think bone broth is good. I add that to other things I'm making, of course, soups, but in my smoothies as well. And but I eat a balanced diet. I eat fats and proteins at night in a 4 to 6 hour eating window, from anywhere from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock. I eat more so fats and proteins. So I do consume a good amount of fats and proteins. I do like to keep muscle weight on myself and exercise, so I have that focus a lot. But I basically eat carbohydrates during the day, so a lot more fruit in the morning into the afternoon while I'm working, while I'm doing a lot of computer work, using my brain a lot. I will eat carbohydrates, which feed the brain. The glucose in fruit feeds the liver and then feeds our nerves. Our body kind of runs on that glycogen, that glucose, and it runs on mineral salts, which come in from fruits as well, and a salad, if you want to do a salad for lunch, or frozen wild blueberry smoothie. I'll list the ingredients for that smoothie. That's from Medical Medium. The heavy metal detox smoothie, I think, is absolutely vital if you're working on a severe case of psoriasis. Absolutely vital. I myself had gotten away from doing that smoothie with those specific ingredients. Now, this last 2 months, I've jumped back into it, really focused on bringing the smoothie back into my day. And it's delicious, too. It's not like it's hard to get down. It's tasty. Bring in a lot of stuff that helps the body eliminate heavy metals out of the liver and anywhere else they're flying around the body, causing all kinds of problems. But so great. So that's the update. So the column C was the supplements I use sporadically, periodically. The next column is the topicals. I have to open the spreadsheet now. The topicals, yes. Column D is the topicals that I use periodically. I try to keep it very affordable for myself here too. I don't get crazy with topicals. I found a lotion that really works for me. That organic lotion I list in column D. All of those titles are links, so you can click those links. They'll take you to Amazon if you're able to order on Amazon. And I know right now things are hard to order. I understand that. I completely understand that. It's do whatever you can right now to protect yourself and your family, and feed yourself and your family, and love yourself and your family. And so I understand that some of these things aren't available, or foods specifically are hard to find at grocery stores right now. And I appreciate that fact that we're doing the same here, but just as I'm trying to focus on myself and for my loved ones, let's just extend love to our fellow humans, right? Let's leave each other something. Let's share. Let's get through this together. Let's get through this pandemic together. Let's get strong. Let's get the immune system strong. Let's eat foods that knock down viruses and viral load. And it just so happens, if you're looking at my protocol or following parts of my protocol, or if you follow medical medium Anthony Williams' protocol or Dr. Morse, Dr. Axe, these guys all suggest foods that are good, strong antimicrobial foods. So antiviral foods, antibacterial foods, foods that knock down pathogens and have natural properties that help the body eliminate pathogens and the pathogen load. So the virus and the byproduct it gives off, which is just as bad. The toxin that affects the skin or the nerves, that's the stuff the virus gives off. It causes infection, causes problems, causes an immune response, and of course, all the dreadful symptom lists from there, depending on what you're dealing with. But I do keep it, for my topicals and my sheet, I try to just keep it basic. Castor oil is very important for me. Rubbing on castor oil and then wrapping my legs has saved my legs over the last few years through the hard times. Coconut oil is what I always put in my bath. Coconut oil has very good antiviral properties. That's on my top 10 foods list for coronavirus. I'll mention that, and of course in the post it'll be listed. But coconut, the raw coconut water, using coconut oil topically or on the bath water, pulling with coconut oil, putting it into the mouth and just gargling it for a while and swishing it around and then clearing it out, cleans the mouth. And just lots of applications for coconut. It's a magical food. Hopefully, if you're not allergic to it or have a response to it. And coconut is the flesh, coconut milk, the oil, and of course the coconut, the raw water. And then finally in column E are the herbal teas that I tend to brew myself, that I make myself, that I've gotten from different sources that I follow over the years. All of these teas have nettle leaf, lemon balm, rose hips has a high vitamin C. Rose hips is very high concentration vitamin C. If you're looking for ways to get vitamin C in right now, rose hips tea bags are great. It has a nice tart flavor. So I'll do a tea. I'll do 3 tea bags. I'll do a nettle leaf tea bag, lemon balm, and rose hips, say. And then I'll just brew that up, steep it. Sometimes I'll drink it hot. Sometimes I'll let it steep for a couple hours and then throw it over ice with a squeeze of lemon or maybe some honey. I'll put some honey in while it's still hot to mix in some nice flavor. Honey has also got good antiviral properties. Wildflower raw honey is good against viruses and good against the viral load. So that's the other update on my healing foods spreadsheet. So hopefully that is useful. That's that link there. Check it out anytime. So you can, when you open that link and the spreadsheet opens up, you can now go to File and Download, or you can go to File Print. So you can either go to Download and then download as a PDF, or if you want to download it as a different spreadsheet format, that's cool. But PDF is a good printable format. Or you can go File and go down to Print. That will bring up the print view, and you can print this and it will fit on one page in the portrait mode. I don't know exactly how tiny the text will be. Hopefully it'll be big enough to read. I don't have a printer. I haven't printed one out myself, but I did get this done this week to consolidate this down to one so it would fit on one page. So I know a lot of people like to print out and take to the grocery store and study it, and as you're building your psoriasis healing practice. So that's all down to one sheet now. Okay, so I want to talk just for a few minutes about this pandemic that we're facing. It's very scary. I of course am going through it just in my experience. I send goodwill, healing, and hope that everyone out there, all warriors and their family, are safe and are being sensible, considering that this virus does spread very easily. It seems to infect, I think it was 1 in every 2.5 people that are in close enough contact. Social distancing is working, I feel. I think it's important, especially in the USA, where we're now finally starting to get the testing in. Now the numbers are going to get scary because more tests are coming in, right? Just baseline. Numbers coming in, numbers going up, because I think this disease has been in our country for a while before we actually started to even attempt to chart it. So we're behind on it. Viruses are inflammable. They're not distracted. They are a form of cell that has a programming code, and they follow that code. They need a host. They typically like to infect bacterial cells within the host and use bacteria to do their bidding around the host body instead of infecting the host cells, because the virus knows that the host needs to survive in order for the virus to survive. Very basic code. And then, of course, it spreads from cell to cell, but it needs those cells. But it's looking for, in my case, I had strep infection in my throat. It was a viral strep infection where a virus had gotten involved with the strep, made the symptoms much worse. The white pustules, I dealt with white pustular acne. I'm still removing white pustules from my body because I still believe I'm removing viruses from my body and strep bacteria. But viruses are looking for cells to mutate with. I just finished a book. Let me grab this book. If I can grab it. Yes. Put it back on my bookshelf. That's handy. So this is a good read I got from a friend of mine. And this is a very adventurous journey into the life of single-celled organisms and single cells and viruses and bacteria. And it's very beautiful. It's a colorful book. It talks a lot about the animal kingdom, of course, and their relationships with single-celled organisms and viruses and bacteria. And I didn't realize how many viruses, they're called phages, that we have in our gut wall. We have thousands of viruses that in the actual gut wall that help the immune system and all other bacteria in the gut get along. So there's a huge, story here, a huge connection of how single-celled organisms work within a host. And of course, in a pandemic like this coronavirus, this COVID-19, it spreads very easily from host to host. So it's very important, of course, to do our best. And I know more people are at risk than others. But it's just very important to do our best to continue, if you are working on your psoriasis healing practice, to continue what you have been doing and to put more effort and focus into foods that might be a little stronger antiviral. Those teas I mentioned on my spreadsheet are all very good at knocking down pathogens, viruses and their load, making it an environment that's not conducive to spread of viruses. That's kind of a goal here, is to create an ecology inside that's powerful for the beneficial microbes of your gut, the good bacteria, eating lots of good fibers that they consume, cutting down on foods that help pathogens grow. Foods like eggs help pathogens grow. They actually use eggs in petri dishes when they're doing studies on viruses because they grow them in them. Foods like corn, conventional corn, tends to empty sugar cells, the GMO aspect, the dead parts of the corn product can feed pathogens. Dairy products, the fat in the dairy lingers in the body for a long time, can feed pathogens. And those kind of foods good to keep out. So those are foods that I already mentioned, and many people already follow, many warriors follow as they build their own protocol at home, to eat foods that help the body heal and build a new internal environment to help you heal from psoriasis, help you heal from the causes and effect of psoriasis. So with this pandemic is very frightening, and I know it's putting all of our lives on hold. So I guess some positive spins on that. When we're in our normal life and we're going through our routine, it's hard to add things into the routine. It's hard to add in a diet intervention. It's hard to add in a lifestyle intervention. It's hard to add that yoga class you've been wanting to add for a while. It's hard to spend that much more time with your family to talk about your life plan that you've been wanting to do for a while. So this is a time to do things like that when the family's home, children are home, you're home. Spend time with your own self-realization path. Okay, now is the time to make these efforts. Now is the time to put some of these things I've been thinking about in place and take some action. Maybe now's the time to buy that juicer. Now's the time to get that blender I've been thinking about. Or to finish that book I've been wanting to finish about the diet intervention I've been writing down my plan with. There's a positive spin here of now being able to spend time doing that. Hopefully, I know many people are out of work right now, and I know this sounds like a jolly idea to use this time for self-help, and I know many people are struggling to find income, work on services business. I have many friends, of course, that way, and everything's going on to hold that way. So I know stresses are high. So I think it's even more important to help with some time out each day, whether that's exercise, whether that's just some time to sit and stretch, whether that's some time to revamp or maybe, like I said, work on steeping some tea, getting some tea prepared. Spending time is therapeutic with your healing practice, and just knowing that every effort you're making there is helping to minimize your exposure, minimize the potential of the disease spreading in your body, and minimize the effect of the symptoms, how drastic they might be. And it just so happens that when you're working on these diet principles here in Psoriasis Healing Warriors, or if you look at my guide, which you can look at PHWarrior.com, and the button on top there you can click there and take a look at my guide, and you will see through the pages there what I discussed that I've felt ever since I've had the ACL reconstruction surgery in 2003, and then I had a subsequent infection that was systemic over my body for 3 months, and then I had, for the first time ever, the first spot of scalp psoriasis started then. I always felt that it was because of that infection that was in my body. I always felt that, even though over the months and years, dermatologists and the different specialists tried to dumb that intuition down in my mind, it just wouldn't be tamed. And as their treatments continued to fail and make my symptoms worse and worse, and then I noticed if I would get sick, like a flu or a common cold, then the psoriasis would get worse. It was always tied to infections. I leaned in on that hard. And then when I started my natural healing journey and stopped using the immunosuppressants and started intervening in my diet and intervening in my lifestyle, that is when I started to really realize that I was fighting some foreign invaders, some infection, because the healing since putting those foods and fueling my body, the roller coaster ride the last 7, almost 8 years has been quite immense. And I feel that it's part of my body eliminating this stuff. I know that it's taking a long time. I know it's taking years. And I know that people want to know, why does the psoriasis come back, Matt? Why does it get worse? Do you think it's because your diet, the diet's not working, or something's not working, or you have to add something, more supplements, or add that other supplement? I went through years of that mentality. What's that one thing I'm missing? Add that one supplement, do that iodine protocol, change that one food group. Maybe it's this one food, or maybe it's that food, or tailoring my flares to certain foods that I was eating. And that stress level that approach was producing was making symptoms worse. Mentally, I was in a spot where I was doubting myself and trying to go back to the drawing board and rebuild my plan. That's the tough mindset to go into reconstruction of plan, when your mindset is such that you're in doubt and fear, right? And that's where we're at right now with coronavirus, and that's where we're at a lot in our lives, in fight or flight mode, dealing with issues that feel immense and insurmountable, and they feel like they're crushing down on us. They're cascading down. If we don't deal with it now, it builds. And those things we've been wanting to do fall deeper and deeper into the rear view, which also cause guilt. So this is a time, if you're at home, if you're working from home, if you're trying to make ends meet, or if you have this extra time where you're trying to fill in some gaps, then grizzling out and saying, okay, now's the time to get rid of, to work on getting and helping my body get rid of this psoriasis. I've been wanting to do this. This is the time to do it. And now you have an added motivator of everything I do to help with that is going to help me and my family and my loved ones, if they are following me, prevent and help protect from COVID-19 and other viral pandemics, because the viruses can't overcome these ancient foods and herbs in an environment. So if you drink tea that knocks that virus down, or pushes it out, or kills it, or knocks out its load, you continue to sip on that kind of a tea over time, you're not going to build an immunity. Viruses don't really build an immunity to those foods and herbs. You can't, even if as COVID goes and we're looking for the vaccine or whatever is going to come next down from the society to try and deal with it, that's all going to be hit or miss too. So, but these other foods and herbs into the body, and probiotics can help too. Beneficial bacteria can help knock down pathogenic ones. But fiber, fiber-rich prebiotic foods and fermented foods are good too, because they have good microbes in them. If you're eating some sauerkraut or kimchi or having some kombucha to drink, bringing in some fermented, some living probiotics, they're going to help knock down any kind of virus that's trying to take hold. With COVID-19, I've heard from experts that it harbors in the neck for a few days before it goes to the lungs. So if you feel that sensation in the neck, the swelling of the glands, a little bit of pain or congestion building in the neck that you're hacking up, you can hit it there. You can hit it there with some herbals. You can hit it there with an herbal tea. You can gargle a ginger tea. Get the gargling action going to keep it on contact. Golden seal echinacea is a good thing to gargle. Cat's claw is a strong against viruses. I use this cat's claw. This comes in organic lemon and vegetable glycerin. It's actually, the flavor's not bad. And this is from Vimergy. I shake this up real good and fill up a dropper, and I'll put the dropper under my tongue, let it absorb under the tongue, and then I'll put let it drip down the back of the throat, because I felt some of that swelling coming on, and I hit it hard with that. That is good against viruses. Cat's claw is one of the strongest tinctures on my list against viruses. And also, of course, very good at clearing out psoriasis, because I feel underlying causes of psoriasis, there is a pathogenic component for all of us. What makes us unique, I feel, is that we're all dealing with a different type and severity and behavior of pathogens in our body, different chemical brew of toxins that we've been swallowing for years, or who knows what the case may be in certain people. But if there are multiple issues in the liver, if you do have heavy metals sitting in there cutting it to pieces, and you have a virus that's been in there for years, however long, since your childhood, who knows, that's now activating and consuming those poisons in the liver. Now you have this compounding, cascading effect of problems. Eventually the liver can't handle it, and it starts to spill out into the lymphatic system, starts to circulate around your body. Based on what type of toxins are circulating is what type of symptoms you're going to be experiencing. That's how I feel. Those are the mechanisms I feel are in place. That's what I believe in my working theory is based on. I can't point you to the scientific studies that back this up, in other words. But it's just been my own experience and working with thousands of other people. This has been the experience. You face these infections again when you start to heal psoriasis. If they're deep in your body, if you had strep that got into your body from, say, when you were in a hospital and you got a very aggressive strain of strep, and you come home from the hospital and all of a sudden you have guttate psoriasis all over your body almost overnight. And that's how my symptoms move from psoriasis. They come overnight. When I'm detoxing, it's overnight. My stomach, my abdomen will get, not circles, but completely covered in a week, and then it will clear up in a couple weeks, and then it's some severity is just much faster, much more surface area, much more aggressive, much more itchy. Other people are dealing with a more mild strain or more mild issue, and their healing is much more smooth, much more solid. And they're clear, their skin's clear. The so-called incurable autoimmune disease has gone into remission, or it's gone, or however you want to call it, reversed. And you're moving on. But some people, ones I like to help the most, I'm building my advanced group based on. If you're interested in the advanced group, jump on that email list. I'll put that link in here. I am getting that going soon, I promise. I know people have been waiting and they've been asking me about that, and I completely want to push into that, because the advanced group is going to be important for severe cases. People who are just like, why in the heck? I've been doing this for 6 months. I've been on this diet for 6 months, and it was getting better for a while. Now it's getting way worse. Why the hell is this happening? So we have, there's just sometimes it takes longer. It goes in cycles for people. It's going to take months or years. I don't want to frighten anybody, but sometimes your journey with the psoriasis issue is going to be one that's longer. It's going to take longer. The liver's not going to overdo it. It's going to protect you as it detoxifies itself. So it's not going to overdo it. It's going to do it on its own time frame. We can't force the time frame by doing a liver flush or swallowing a bunch of apple cider vinegar and olive oil and trying to pass stones, or coffee enemas and stuffing, water up our bums and trying to pump it out. You can't force the detoxification along. That can even be against you. When I mentioned earlier about my mindset before, when I had doubt and I was rebuilding my game plan, that's when a lot of those modalities came in. And I'm not saying coffee enemas are bad for you. They're good. It's good to do one. It's good to go to a colon hydrotherapist and do a proper hydrotherapy is great. An enema is fine as long as you know what you're doing. If you're self-administering, that's all good. But when you get into too many extremes like that, you're like, okay, you're jumping from the coffee enema into the liver flush, into the iodine detox, into the heavy metal, EMFD protocol. That's what I was getting to in 2015 and 16 when the symptoms spread real bad and they got erythrodermic, came out real bad. And that was a tough space. But what I've come to realize, what Anthony William really helped me realize in his books, however, whatever you think of his narrative is one thing, but his way he writes and the way he helps you understand how the body needs your time and your patience and your love and your help, that style of writing is second to none for anybody who is at rock bottom and is desperate to help heal their life because their life just is unlivable. That's the book I would suggest someone to read, because he has a very good uplifting style that helps you understand that to come out of this pit is going to take months and years, and the body needs you through this time. It needs you to hug it and share some compassion, because you can't beat it into submission over this. The body, it needs to be built up. But when you build it up, I was mentioning this in my post, and I mentioned this to a lot of people who share in the group their progress and their experience. Regardless of how the psoriasis symptoms map out, people are feeling stronger. They're feeling the power of their bodies, as they continue to fuel with carbohydrates and nutrient-dense food and fiber, rich, raw plant fiber, like good leafy green salad, a good smoothie, good fruits that bring in the fiber and the antioxidants. Having vegetables at dinner brings in fiber. Raw, of course, is good because you have your enzymes are still intact. Enzymes are extremely important, especially for warriors who are fighting with the blood diseases and the diabetes. You have to love the pancreas. When you read through Anthony Williams' book, The Liver Rescue, and he talks about how much emphasis the liver puts on protecting the pancreas. It's a gem, a little diamond in the rough that needs to be protected. And it's just so fragile. And so, of course, we just look at it as insulin resistance and the body failing us and going into a diabetic phase. But there is a lot of steps that don't show up on diagnostic tests and blood work that are precursors to prediabetes. Type 2, I'm, of course, talking about. Okay, so I digress again. But I just want to mention some foods now, and then I'll look through, see if there's any questions to do some Q&A. And I'm going to make a full post on everything I've kind of talked about here. I already have the post written, and I'm going to make that available in the group and on my blog. So you can read through the full post and chew on it, and then leave me a comment, and we can talk about it more in depth, of course, and share. My post is just my experience. It's not. It's not meant to be a tutorial like this is the way it is, and it's just this is how I feel. What you've already been doing to help yourself heal psoriasis is going to protect you from, and your family from, the spread and the transmission, which means it's also going to protect all your fellow humans, which is the best thing you can do is to send goodwill to others and just send love out there and sensibility. Just be caring in your thoughts towards everyone else. This is a tough time, It's a time unprecedented in our lifetimes dealing with this kind of pandemic, and people are all responding to it in their own way. It's adversity at its tightest level. But just send out peace and goodwill and love. I send out healing to anyone who's already infected, who's battling this, who, if you need my help, please send me a message. I'll get back to you right away as they come in, as best I can. But just, reach out to each other. Of course, the group is strong. I love Psoriasis Healing Warriors. Yeah, you got everyone in here, all these awesome warriors in the group that foster other people. And then you're just fostering the people. You're pointing people in good directions. You're making them think and chew on things that they haven't just thought about before. We have a very unique conversation when it comes to psoriasis. When people come in here, they see a lot of other groups they're in, and so specifically a lot about drugs. And we come in here, there's definitely people that are concerned and want to talk about pharmaceuticals, but you see right away, oh wow, these people have a different mindset. These warriors in here have a different mindset. They're building a new mindset, a different mindset in this. Taking control, feeling the power of the body when you bring in those nutrients over a span of months and years. After 7+ years of treating my body this way and feeding myself this way, it's just I feel amazing. I'm doing 5K runs now. I never really did distance runs in my life. Just eating a lot of oxygen rich foods. The list of foods there is also foods that are high in oxygen. If you're building muscle, you're trying to gain weight, you're trying to get stronger, your muscles have to have oxygen, they have to have carbohydrate, they have to have glucose. So without those two, the muscle can't perform. It needs a mineral salt, a trace mineral, it needs glucose to deliver the salt in and out of the muscle cell, and it needs oxygen from the blood cells. The muscles run on oxygen. We are oxygen carbon-based life forms, carbohydrate. Proteins and fats, come on in with the proteins and fats to help the repair process and the nurturing process and the body temperature process and the repair, absolutely. But for performance, before workouts, on the front side of workouts, coconut water, fruit, banana, some berries, pump in the nutrients that way. They require low digestion. You'll perform better than you ever have. That's my opinion. But yes, I'm going to have this post out just after I'm done here, and we'll make that available so we can chat more about this and, of course, discuss any questions about. So the last thing I want to mention about COVID-19 and us, of course, especially if you're on immunosuppressants now, and I know people are asking questions about how are we set up here with having a compromised immune system or over-responsive immune system. Just know that you have a strong immune system. Know that your immune system has been built, genetically evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to be a finely tuned machine that interacts with trillions of bacterial and viral and parasitical and fungal cells coming in from all over the world. And that sharing of information is the immune system. The cells of the immune system, how they react with a healthy gut wall and how they interact with a healthy gut bacteria. Okay? So when that immune system is over responding to something, I think, like I said, in the case of psoriasis, there is something invader, something outside causing the immune response that's burning the skin. Then the immune system itself is over responding to that. It's also going to over respond to an infection. So it's already active, it's already at its peak. And so when a disease, an infectious disease comes into the environment, the immune system is certainly going to respond to it very strongly. So I think you're in good shape. Now, on an immunosuppressant, I can't speak to that because I've never been on an injection or a biologic, but I know, of course, the first side effect says, don't get sick or I know that's scaring people to death that are on immunosuppressants or immunocompromised that are taking drugs for that. It might be a good time, if you've been thinking about tapering off those drugs, this might be a good time to taper off. But it's very important to build up your gut bacteria, the gut wall, and of course, then your immune system response. So straightforward, just it's important now more than ever to get going on your psoriasis healing practice now. Whatever you've been thinking about, tabling and trying to jump into, get going on it now. Your body needs you now more than ever, period. Whether it's a pandemic or not. Now that there is a pandemic, this is just vital for you. It's vital for your family members. It's vital for those around you. It's vital for strangers that cross your path to take care of yourself. And you take care of yourself, your loved ones will be taken care of. I've seen it happen over and over again. People are very concerned about their family going in, and I just stress them to be selfish in a constructive way. Selfish, not in an egotistical way, in a selfless way. Selfish and selflessly selfish. So, because your loved ones are going to benefit from your progress. It's a rocky road for sure. Okay, well, hopefully I've covered everything. Hopefully my post will cover the rest. I hope everyone's having a happy Saturday. Hopefully enjoying your time at home. And I will take a look here through the chat, see if there's any questions. Hey, Candace. Nice to see you. Stay healing and well, Matt. Awesome. Yes. Tina. Hey, hello. Maureen, I've noticed my psoriasis, especially on my elbows and knees lately. I'm eating clean and well, but under a ton of stress, being separated from husband, raising teen daughter, and now income has stopped due to coronavirus. What can I do to at least help my skin? Also, are we more susceptible to COVID having psoriasis? Of course, that's a question I just mentioned my opinion on, Maureen. how we're set up, if with our immune systems already being over responding to something going on inside. I can't answer your question specifically about how are we more susceptible to COVID-19 having psoriasis. I do feel that our immune system is ready to respond, especially if we're reinforcing it and working on our gut health. And of course, working on gut health and immune health is the first major steps towards healing from an autoimmune condition like psoriasis. So it's what we do in here. Let me just reply and say, answering so you know what time point. And good for you for doing your best. I know income is stopped and we have to do whatever we can do. So of course everything that I'm suggesting is on a good day. This is a rough day. This is a bad day. This is bad weeks, bad months. So, whatever you can afford. And for obviously at stores, whatever stores have available, that's what we have to do right now. Whatever's available, any plant foods you can add to your cart that are available, great. If there are or lemons or citrus available, I have a list of 10 foods I think are really good against virus. You can take a look at those and put those on your list. If you can get some tea bags, those are pretty affordable. They shouldn't be out of stock at all places because tea is kind of a tailored item. So I'll have the priority list of teas available too in there. So we just have to do what we can do. And I don't want to downplay it. There is no answers for all the challenges that we all face uniquely right now. Hey, John. Hey, Stuart. Hey, Jane. All right, great. Well, I'll have that post up. I want to close this down now so I can get to work on finishing that post and get it on there. You can add your questions to the post of coronavirus and psoriasis healing practice that I'm going to lay out there. Let's be good to each other. Let's love each other. Let's love ourselves and take it moment to moment. Crack that book that you've been wanting to finish. Keep the mind in a good space of training and quiet and stillness through a very loud, very heavy, hectic time. So namaste to all. I love you, all warriors. Much love, mad respect, more healing. I will be more consistent with these. Hopefully one per week, one every other week at least. Check out my link there for PHWarrior.com. And that will have buttons to my YouTube channel, my podcast. I will be having another podcast episode coming. I'm talking with Linda Gaylord Mudd, who is a certified EFT, emotional freedom technique practitioner. She's helped me a lot through some terrible, stressful times in my life. And I think energy tapping and working through some affirmations could be very beneficial for us all right now. So I will have that published this coming week, my next podcast interview with her. And I plan to have another 2 episodes out in April. So that's healingwarriorradio.com for podcast. And my YouTube channel, you can click on the button to look at my videos on PHWarrior.com. And I have a button there at the bottom of PHWarrior.com. If you can, I know right now, we got to focus on our families and all that. So just focus on what you can out of those links and those buttons, taking what you can, take some notes, but do yourself a favor. If you're not already, journal, write about your experience, write a blog online, write a pen and paper, keep a journal, make audio notes. If I have a little audio recorder, I'll carry that with me and make audio notes. Get it down. Get it down. That will help you open up the mind to stay concentrated on other things that are very important. So don't let your thoughts eat at you. If you have something you want to get done, start to write it down. Start to get it down. It will really help you to journal. All of this we have here today and everything we have and all the Psoriasis Healing Warriors all started 7 years ago when I wrote for the first time something that meant a lot to me into my own blog. I made a blog post, and it's the most confusing, ridiculous little blog post of somebody trying to muddle around on their like a beetle on their back. But you will see that, and you will be able to compare that, and you will then know what the benchmarks of success are. So you know what your benchmarks of success are. All right, warriors? You got to have a value perception based on your efforts. You got to build this new value perception, and then things start to fall into place and it becomes very therapeutic. But first, you build value in your own efforts. This is worth my time and my effort. This is worth doing. Damn it. I am worth it. I can do this, and I'm going to do it now. Or at least part of it now. All right. Much love, mad respect, more healing warriors. Matt, out.